At age 3, she was already reading. At 6, she begged her mother to cut her hair short and dress her as a boy, so she could sneak into university. Her mother said no, so she taught herself instead. Juana Inés de la Cruz was born in 1651 in colonial Mexico, the illegitimate daughter of a Spanish officer who abandoned the family when she was still small. She had no father, no privilege, no formal education, no rights, legally speaking, because she was a woman in one of the most restrictive societies in the Western Hemisphere. What she had was a mind that wouldn't stop. By age 3, she was reading. By 6, she had consumed every book in her grandfather's library and was asking for more. By 8, she was writing her own poetry. By 9, she was studying Latin, a language she largely taught herself after just 20 lessons. She punished herself when she didn't learn fast enough. If she failed to meet her own deadlines, she cut her hair. Her logic? Hair was vanity, and vanity was a distraction from knowledge. By her early teens, Juana was considered the most intellectually formidable young person in all of New Spain. Word reached the viceroy, the most powerful man in Mexico. He invited her to court. And then he did something remarkable. He assembled 40 of the most distinguished scholars in the country, theologians, philosophers, mathematicians, historians, poets, and he put them in a room with a teenager and told them to test her. Every single one of them was outpaced. A girl who had never attended a single day of formal school held her own against the entire academic establishment of colonial Mexico. They didn't know what to do with her. Juana knew what to do with herself. She became a nun. Not out of deep religious conviction, she was strategic about it. In 17th century Mexico, the only path available to a woman who wanted to read freely, write freely, and avoid being forced into marriage was the convent. So at age 20, she entered the convent of Santa Paula and began the most productive intellectual period of her life. Her cell was more library than bedroom. She collected over 4,000 books, the largest private library in the New World. She filled the space with scientific instruments, maps, musical equipment, and manuscripts. She wrote poetry. She wrote plays. She wrote philosophy. She corresponded with the greatest thinkers of her age. Her work was published in Spain. She was an international literary figure, writing from behind convent walls in Mexico City. And then the church turned on her. In 1690, she privately criticized a sermon by a famous Jesuit priest in a letter to a bishop. The bishop published the letter without her permission and used a female pseudonym to then publicly scold her for not sticking to religious topics. Juana responded with one of the most extraordinary documents of the 17th century, a full defense of her right to knowledge, her right to write, her right to exist as an intellectual woman. Many scholars today consider it the first feminist manifesto written in the Americas. It didn't save her. The church pressure intensified. Her protectors left the country. By 1694, she signed documents surrendering her books, her instruments, her writing, everything. She added a note at the bottom in her own hand. It read, "Yo, la peor del mundo." Me, the worst in the world. She never wrote again. A year later, a plague swept through the convent. She nursed her 6 sisters until she caught it herself. She died in 1695 at 44 years old. Today, she is on the Mexican 200 peso note. Her former convent is a university. Her writing is studied across the world. The church silenced her for 400 years. It didn't work. Subscribe if you've never heard this story before, because you should have. Drop a comment. What do you think Sor Juana would have done if she'd been born today?